bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here. I got time. It's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We're meant to be.
Hi everyone, this is Monica Ramirez, Warrior of Love, and we're in Soul Talk. And thank you for being here with us. I want to present you again a great friend, Suzanne Bishop. She's been here with us, and we're so glad to have her again in Soul Talk. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit who she is, and she can explain you a little bit more who she is. She's a psychic intuit practitioner. She's of course, a psychic medium. She's a Reiki master, and she's studying more things now. That's why I want to she present herself and tell you a little bit what she's doing now. Thank you, Suzanne, for being here with us. I really appreciate
my
invitation.
Yeah.
You were telling me that you're studying something new.
No. I've studied trauma at a master's level as an art therapist, and I continued when I retired as a doctoral student. And I'm incorporating some research I've done and others' research about highly intuitive individuals, that what their experiences would be when they're involving themselves in any type of trauma therapy. So I'm trying to develop. Yeah,
Yes, we can see.
Try to develop interventions that include types of interventions that would include that aspect of the selfhood of highly intuitive people, and that could include off-planet interactions. It's all within the realm of quantum physics. It's all within the realm of multidimensionality. It's not anti-Newtonian. We're beyond our five senses. And I was lucky to get into a doctoral program that's open to include peer-reviewed research in my studies with this new framework of looking at all of us within a multidimensional framework, which can at times includes ET contact. It includes going off world. It's called exo consciousness, where there's a recognition that we are more than our five senses, and all of this is intertwined, starting a basis of my research, starting a basis of my doctoral studies into developing interventions that includes these new humans that are coming onto the planet, that Mary Rodwell had written the book, The New Human, The New Hybrid. Well, we're all hybrids, but my particular contribution in this lifetime is culminating in what I'm doing right now, developing these interventions to include more of the multidimensional aspects that we all are, and have it become more solidified and more recognized by where we are in our scientific community right now.
Yes, to everybody knows, Suzanne and me, we met in a conference of Mary Rockwell, because both of us, we have been abducted, and we just wanted to find out more about that. Am I right, Suzanne?
I've never been abducted that I can consciously, but I have been activated at the age of 4 by a remote modality, by the star race that I'm most affiliated with, which is Arcturian. And at that time, it's not an abduction. It's more like this vacillating light came into my room after I was kind of playing a game where I was actually going through a portal. But this light was vacillating so quickly, it ended up going into my abdomen. And some of the research by Barbara Lamb, some of the interviews that she's done with abductees and also people that have been activated in similar ways that I have, it's an activation. It's an upgrade to your mind, body, heart connection. It's an upgrade to your DNA. And it kind of like solidifies any type of soul mission, that you've had.
Yes, and you're right. It is not a deduction if you actually give permission to go. And that was also my case. And you're right. It is the
Yeah.
wrong word to use. You're giving permission. No one
Yeah.
is stopping you.
Yeah.
That is true. You're right. Well, I would like to ask you about right now. There are many changes that I see in the world, in the collective, for all of us, and the energies that right now that we're receiving and feeling, all of us, even the people that they are not usually aware, they're feeling something. And this is planetary. It's not only in United States where we are. It is global wide, like
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic in a way. And I can feel there is fear in the air
Mm-hmm.
worldwide. But what do you have received? What information you have received about that?
Well, I call them downloads, and also through the dream state and just awarenesses, and everybody's going through this. Everybody's receiving downloads, and it depends on a lot of variety of factors. We're all unique individuals, but at the same time, and that's the beauty of planet Earth, we're all unique individuals, and at the same time we all are connected to that source, and we're all becoming in a very tangible way, recognizing that connectivity. And it's all coinciding at the same time. All of our technology, all of our quantum uh, discoveries, and the spirituality, the brain, even research in the brain. It's all coming into the conclusion that we are more than what we were taught we are. We were more than what we can even perceive as humans. And being human, what I'm downloading as far as the collective and the starseed population, and that's a wide path of people. Whatever you want to label them or box them into, it doesn't matter. But they're awakened individuals who came in varying degrees of being awake. And what do I mean by being awake? I mean that you're going beyond the veil of what's put in front of you. You're going beyond the limitations that we impose upon ourselves through intuition, through direct knowledge from many lifetimes, either on Earth or off planet. And this is really a wonderful time to be living right now, because we have all these light workers, we have all these star seeds, we have all these no names. You don't have to have a name, right? You come in and you are almost coming in aware in a way, to varying degrees. And there is a lot of fear, I agree, but underneath that fear, I think there's almost like a joy, like they can breathe again, is how I'm getting it. And I also want to define for the people that are listening what my definition of collective is. Collective in my framework and what I know from book reading. You can take a Jungian approach to it. It's the collective unconscious. It's something that integrates all of us in all of our lifetimes, all the Akashic records, all the history, starting with the Big Bang, maybe even before the Big Bang, in this universe. So the collective in my framework is this universe. Doesn't have to be this earth, but it's all people and all their experiences, and also what they do with those experiences, integrated into kind of a mass of consciousness in that collective.
Because at the end, we are all one, and we can. I believe many of people have heard about the monkey effect. That
Mhm.
that is someone let's say we live in the United States, and someone in China get an understanding of certain concept, automatically we understand it in the United States. It doesn't matter in what part of the world, because we are, in a way, we're all connected. We as a empath, we can connect to the collective conscious, that the ones Suzanne is talking, and we can feel and we can sense the fear, the anguish, or whatever they are feeling in that moment. The majority of the people that are connected to the collective, and
Mhm.
that's how we know how the collective is feeling in that moment. It is not very positive to actually stay connected to the fear of everybody, even if you are feeling safe,
Yeah.
because you are going to attract that to yourself, to your life in that moment. So it is important to become aware when you're connected to the collective than when you are, and how to disconnect. Can you tell them a little bit how to disconnect and how to connect to the collective?
Well, I can't tell anybody anything except through my own personal lens and my own story. I don't have you do A, B, C, or D. So I just want to make that clear. I'm sharing what I know through my own experience, and also what I know coming in as a soul. And so you can never disconnect from the collective, because what I discovered recently, no, hear me out, because words are tricky. You know what I mean? So you can never fundamentally disconnect from the collective, because one thing I downloaded about a couple weeks ago was that you and I sitting right here, and everybody on planet who are conscious beings, we are actually part of that collective. It's not a history of it's an active dynamic.
But you can
And
disconnect from the emotions, like fear. If you are,
right,
you can disconnect from the emotions that comes from the collective, because
yeah,
sometimes the thoughts that you're feeling and you're hearing, they're not even yours, are from the collective.
yeah. But I just wanted to articulate the difference, between fundamentally being connected, and you can't get away from that, and then also once you become aware
Hmm.
of buy-in or an emotional maybe draw or an emotional response to the collective, if it's fear, for instance. Now, I'm a very democratic person, in the sense of not the political democrat, but democratic in the sense of everybody is so unique. One's perception of fear might be different than another person's perception of fear. So, how does one disconnect emotionally? And that was beautifully put, to any type of uh, empathic, maybe sensibility of the fear component of the collective. How does one disconnect? Becoming aware that you might be empathically tuned into that, like a TV channel. To become aware of that, then you can be conscious, because what was happening right now in this new age that is unfolding so beautifully is consciousness. So consciousness is really key. Um, so one has to be aware that they're even empathic. One has to be aware. Now, let's say you're not aware that you're empathic, and you are tuning in inadvertently in a subconscious way to the collective. The only thing you can do in that scenario is to take care of yourself and do positive affirmations, and realize that you're separate from the person standing next to you. You're separate from the collective, but at the same time, and this is where it gets tricky, and that's why I started out with, fundamentally we are connected. Like our higher connected, but our personality self doesn't have to get in the mix of it with our great empathy that we have. So we have to, if we're not aware of it, then the only thing we can do to combat any type of negative manifestation and all of that is to make sure that you are actively living a positive life in the best way frame. Do no harm. Do no harm to yourself. Do no harm to others. Be of service to other people. It will combat any type of negative consequence of being too emotionally tied to that collective if you're not aware of it. Does that make sense?
Yes, I have an example that happened to me and my daughter the other day. Can I say it? We went to a restaurant to pick up some food, and the lady that it was attending us, you can feel her stress. And my daughter that it was calm when we arrived, she started feeling very stressed. And it's like, oh, she was very, very stressed. And it's like, it is. And I just asked her, okay, can you become aware that if that stress is coming from you or is coming from the lady that is attending us?
Mhm.
And she just digged inside of herself and is like, no, it's not mine. Okay, then that is hers. So separate from her stress what she is feeling, because that's not yours, that is hers. And she have her own path to stay in that job or quit or change her emotions or whatever. That's her life. This is yours. So she did it. And in the moment she did it, she felt relief again. And she was like, when we arrived, before she connected to her.
Mhm.
And that's, in a way, that's how I do it. How I teach or I show people. Because it is important to
Mhm.
always be checking on yourself. What are you holding on and what are you connecting to? Because sometimes it's not even
Mhm.
your.
Absolutely. A lot of people who are highly intuitive will usually in their mid 30s discover that they have been, without being aware, being tied into energies, tied into family dynamics in an empathic way, and they think it's their stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a practice in self-awareness. There's a great book, Sonia Romano, I think is her name. Personal Power Through Awareness was written in the 1970s, late 70s. And that's a great book for people who are empathic, who want to get a handle on um, naming the beast or whatever you want to call it, like having some type of skill over it. But overall, I want to speak to everybody in general, whether they're aware they're empathic or not. We all are to varying degrees. We all can get into a negative loop by not recognizing that we're tuning into things that are not that are negative, and then we get into this loop perhaps. So for all people, not only like positive thoughts and do right in the world, but also come upon people like at the restaurant, the woman who was obviously stressed out. That's her journey. She's maybe not stressed out in a couple hours, but at that moment she was.
Yeah.
So, love, I found out in this day and age, is so powerful because when you bring in unconditional love daily in your life, you're very accepting of how all of us are, including ourselves, not complacent, but realizing with unconditional love that there's nothing that you're going to change about anything right now in this moment, to let it be and to bring in the higher powers of source or God or Jesus or whatever framework, that Buddha, whatever framework you're working with in this lifetime, and bringing in compassion, unconditional love. And that seems to set some kind of, I call it a universal magical tone that kind of has its own geometry. It has its own musical note in a way that softens any type of negativity that can infiltrate that person. Like if you're an so that covers everybody that way.
Yeah.
You go wrong. And what do I mean by unconditional love? It's acceptance that we're all in this together. It's acceptance of we're human, we learn, we are loved by source, and
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 removing,
and and
and
most.
removing the judgment, because you can't love something if you're judging.
Exactly. Be aware of any kind of judgment. And the reason for that, the universe is set up mechanically, mathematically, almost like a program. So when someone has a judgment on another, you're limiting yourself as well as limiting that other person, because you're assuming something based on your human perceptions. All of us are really wrong with our human perceptions. And So you're kind of getting off the path of the flow.
Hmm.
um, be careful of judgments. Yeah, that things have to be a certain way. Like, how dare she work there? Not that you guys did that, but somebody would say, how dare she be that nasty? How dare she be in that bad mood or stressed out? Well, yeah, she's welcome to do that. She needs to do that right now, but it's not going to affect me. You know.
That's her path and that's her choice. In the moment we start judging other people for whatever emotion they have, or they have done, or they have not done,
Yeah.
it's just a mirror reflection of us, what we're judging ourselves. And the other person, consciously or unconsciously, they're showing you what you have to work with yourself. So that's how we work, the judgment of, that's why we judge other people and other
Yeah.
people judge us. In reality, that's why what other people think about you is not important, because they're talking about their own reflection.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I hope I answered that question about how everybody can soften the empathic connection and taking in anything that might be negative, whether it's fear or jealousy or whatever the collective might be. The energy, because the collective is an energy, whatever energy is coming through the ethers, right? So, yeah.
I have something also that I have observed, even with me, and what I turn on now, that Facebook, and I see a day 15 people or maybe more that have died, pass away. Elders, grandparents, parents, or even young people. And that's almost every day since the last 3 months. It is just increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing. And I've been observing that, including in my mother, that she died in December.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
And but what I am observing, that the you as a medium, do you, I understand that you have observed that too. And but what is the messages that are happening? Why there's so many people, more people now than I believe since the Second World War? Is the same energy, the same transition. Fast, too many transitions are passing right now in this moment.
Well, uh, well, my intuitive downloads, and I mean, it's just my intuitive downloads, is that remember, this universe, this earth, is a game of mathematics. And it has to keep in balance. Look at all of us for that game of balance. So there's almost a programming embedded in the system. The system must survive, and you see that on Earth as an ecological system. If it gets out of balance, then wacky things can happen until it gets into balance. So the earth and the spiritual aspect of all of us incarnating here, um, the system that I'm talking about is earth, but it's beyond earth. It's all of us. It's part of that collective, all of our experiences. So in order for to keep the balance, there has to be the dusts that occur. And
Mm-hmm.
the and already decided, because they're on the team, they already decided, we're going to help keep the balance. In this manner, I will die on this time frame. Why are so many people dying now? Well, if you've noticed, we haven't had a world war. I'm not saying we will. There's balance, really a lot of people on the planet. It's not a matter of too many people on the planet, it's how we use the resources of the earth. It's not a retribution of anything, but it's you look at it like completely emotionalist in a way, that the programming will not allow a certain imbalance until the scales are tipped, and then things happen to keep health, to keep all of us.
I tell me if I am right, because what I have felt is the people that do not are not so ready for the new earth, that is going to be very different that how the energies we're managing right now, with judgment, with fears, with envy, competition, and all those kind of things, those kind of conscience that we have right now, the majority collectively, uh, they refuse to that change.
Mhm.
And because the energy of the planet Earth is not going to be vibrating there, because
Mhm.
no one completely dies. It dies the physical body, but the conscience is still there. That
Yeah.
can't die. So because they're refusing to get that change, that's why many people are dying. I don't know. This is the
No,
message that I get, but I wanted just to confirm with you because you're the medium.
yeah, no, well, that's part of it too. I mean, that's in the Edgar Casey teachings, is that not only the earth change happening that we see right now, but it's people removing themselves off planet when the energies rise. And that was discussed in the 19 1970s, I believe. And Edgar Casey was taught, sorry, my up.
There.
Edgar taught this, this way of thinking about why are so many people dying. But that's also part of the system.
Yeah.
Uh, before we come here, we see a wide picture of all of our lifetimes and all of our past lifetimes. We're not seeing that right now, unless you're privy to the Akashic records, but that too is also part of the system, that they can't be here because they will upset the trajectory that is going forward. And they also, on a personality level, can't tolerate the new energies as well. That's all in their soul contract.
So we might have to expect more people dying for the same.
Sorry, maybe not. And it's interesting that my dog is barking right now. Maybe not. You know what I mean? We don't know. We don't know.
I imagine that you have connect lately to the Kashi records, or hear what is some messages that are very important for right now in this moment.
I don't know if I consciously connect to what we refer to as the Akashic records, but give me the question in another way, please.
Okay. Have you received any messages right now for these moments for the collective that need the people that need to listen, that will listen, the ones that are seeing it right now or in the future?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. A lot of mediums, my colleagues, especially starseeds, are recognizing that. And when I channeled in 2017, and my Arcturian guide and family member mentioned that embrace your humanity. You are so unique. There may be many hybrids coming to Earth from all different places and all different walk-ins and all kinds of things, but we are so unique. Embrace being human. Take being human as the base and the holy grail versus being somewhere up there. So it's the integration of the human and our beauty, our richness of our emotions, our frailty, our making mistakes and then bounce back again. And so all of it, the basis is human, and that human is integrated into these higher energies. It's not the other way around.
I agree with you.
We are spiritual, we're having a human experience based on the fact that we're eternal spirits, but at the same time, while we're on Earth is already in 5D.
Yes. I have
Sure.
heard many times, and I even caught myself before saying, "Oh my God, I don't want to come back. I just wanted to this finish, so like that, I don't have to come back in my next life to planet Earth." But then I felt the deep emotion and compassion for humans,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what you're saying. Having that experience of humans That's why we came here. In
Yeah.
this,
Yeah, and it's okay to be messy. It's okay. Anne said something hysterical one time when I think she was channeling, or maybe it was a individual download. No, it was channeling. She said, look, all of you, meaning humans, are very touchy about the fact that you have a membrane organ of your skin holding everything together. How thin is your skin? So that is why you're overreacting at times to surviving. There's a deep, deep embedded fear as a human the moment you're born, recognizing, well, I got all this stuff. I have my blood, I have my heart, I have my brains. Well, there's a hard skull, but all of the rest of it, look how fragile that could be. I mean, if you look at an older person in their 90s, their skin is almost translucent. You can see their veins. So there's like inner knowing, and then we all create metaphors as humans based on that sensibility. Well, what's holding all together physically? My skin. Well, my skin is thin. It's not like a concrete wall, you know. So to finish off this interview, I just got a download now, I think from Anne, that it's okay to be vulnerable. Embrace your vulnerability, knowing that your thoughts are really orchestrating manifestation in a way. And so you're in control of this ship only so much, but you're still in control only so much. And so let go of running away from being vulnerable, and embrace it. And that's part of embrace. And she's saying that's embracing your humanity. It's okay to be vulnerable. We live in a we live in a duality.
and forgive yourself. So you can't go to the next octave or the next dimension, like you want to put it. You still carrying guilt and shame. So you
Yeah.
need to let go of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Um, what you just said, I agree with, but it's still very linear in its thinking, and that's where the energies are kind of like catching people by surprise at times. So looking at what you just said in more of a multidimensional way, is there's degrees of probably never ending guilt. There's degrees of never ending kind of feeling you're enough, or whatever the origin is of lack. It's really coming from a like an idea of lack. But that's like never ending with all of our lifetimes, and all of our prior lifetimes and future lifetimes. The higher octave happens, but we're never going to get rid of all of our guilt. We're never going to get rid of all of it. It's meant to be there as part of the system. Like our psyche has a system, our body is a system, and so that's part of the system that keeps everything else in check. And it's all a part of that thing we can't get away from, that duality, light and dark. Now, as we go into the fifth dimension, the 5D world, integrating into our humanness, is that we will recognize that we will recognize that for one, we don't have to know everything in the moment.
Yep.
Everything was discussed today, and also that there's almost like a flow that's a natural flow, and we get out of that flow when we refuse to integrate or be okay with that duality. Next, unconditional love, that have no judgment on duality even. And as we move into the 5D, we are going to be softening in a very real way, part of that system that is keeping all the things together, the duality. And over in CERN, they're like looking into dark matter. Well, they're finding on a quantum level, if you want to look at duality, dark matter and light matter is only like the tip of a pin. The physical world is only the tip of a pin compared to the dark matter that is running the show. So we have to have duality until a certain point, and then we're all integrated into 5D. That duality will be softened. It's more palatable.
But at the same time, the duality is the one that causes the judgment. I am better than you, that's why I can judge you. I am a good person, you're a bad person, you're this, you're that, we're different colors, skins, that's part of the duality.
Yeah, but that's human made. The duality that I'm talking about is part of that system that holds everything together. Like the dark matter is holding the physical matter together. And so until we get to a certain point of spiritual development, and I feel we won't get rid of the duality, soften it to the point that is noticeable until we become light beings, because that's really our destiny, is to become light beings, to shackle off the physical manifestation and integrate ourselves into the dark matter. And the dark matter doesn't mean it's dark like evil or anything like that. It's the yin. Look at duality is masculine and feminine. Duality is a lot of things that really call not judgment into it. It's part of how this whole universe is set up. And we're not meant to transverse the universe and try to negate or do away with anything that's not palatable to us, not something that we can accept. And not accepting something is a form of judgment. And so we're getting there. My partner Alan, who passed in 2016, had a beautiful way of putting anything in a human's life where any kind of trial or tribulation could be softened in how we perceive it. Unconditional love can come into play, non-judgment, softening it. But the duality that we live in, that's what creates the music I'm hearing. I'm really downloading right now from Source, I believe. The duality creates the music. Just like if you're playing a guitar, you're playing an instrument, there's sound silence, And so the interludes, what I'm hearing right now is the interludes in that music of the sphere of life. It's part of that darkness. It's part of that not knowing. It's part of what we may call evil because we don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's all part of the symphony.
Yes, even for a plant, a seed to actually grow, it has to go into the dark.
Thank
So
you.
it can create.
In the womb, yeah, the fetus in the womb, absolutely.
Yes, or yeah, exactly. So it is a judgment and a program, a old program that the dark, it is bad to integrate
Yeah.
into duality, but it's not necessarily bad. It creates life, actually.
Yeah, yeah. And who knows what the bottom line is, or who knows what the whole answer is, but I'm hearing there is no answer. It's just individual living their life. We're not holding everything together. We are in a way, but the system, the earth goes on without humans on it. The universe goes on. It's expanding. It eventually will contract. And I did a private channeling for someone about 2 months ago that I was just astounded what I was listening to in the background, that there's so many universes and they're all expanding and they're eventually going to contract. Well, what happens when the universe contracts and it disappears? It merges, it's all unity. It merges with all the other universes into that whole black hole. So there was that big bang that birth of the universe, and then we came along. Earth got developed after millions and trillions of years, and then the universe is still expanding. Now it will eventually contract. Now what happens when the Big Bang ends up coming back home to the void? Who knows? Maybe that, I'm told in that channeling that it's emerging. This universe will integrate with all the other universes that contracted. I look at it like a breath. If you look at trillions and trillions and trillions of years within that one breath of, you know,
Yes, I agree with the contraction and the expanding and the contraction, because that's part of nature. And at the same time, there's a hermetic law that how is here is over there. So
yeah,
like we are breathing, also the same universe is breathing.
yeah. I love that. I love that awareness, because that automatically puts you into that flow, I think. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
And what is the best way that you can feel that we can integrate that duality in ourselves, so like that we can remove our lower conscience that we all have.
Mhm.
By moments we all have them. It is impossible to say someone, oh, I'm never gonna feel that. I'm never gonna feel the lack of something.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to pull a card on that. I know you didn't ask for that, but they're sitting right here. And I need to, I have a solar device here. I'm still on the road. I'm down the road from my land that I wanted to, hopefully you can still see me.
Yes, we can.
But I'm going to pull a card here to answer that question, to help, because that way it becomes the collective answer. So let's ask that question again.
How we integrate the duality into ourselves for the collective, so like that we can let go all the lower consciences that we all have.
Okay. All right, let's see what happens. And I'm going to bring you into this as well. You know, the card that we get is the Five of Pentacles reversed. Wow. Isn't that weird? Okay, you know about Tarot, the Five of Pentacles is the poverty card, but this is reversed. So the first thing I get is we're letting go of our limitations. We're letting go of judgments upon ourselves. You know, we're opening up to the freedom of all of what we are, which is massive abundance. What are you getting with this card, Monica? That it's reversed. The poverty card's reversed.
Oh, five is change in tarot. And yeah, I can feel the change. We all can feel the change.
Yeah.
We all can feel it. And I believe even the people that they're not used to become aware, they are becoming aware. That some
Yes.
it is boiling, but they don't know what it is. Even for the psychic mediums, we know it's changing, we know the transition, but we don't know where it's gonna stop, where it's gonna take us, because we all have our own missions, and
And
for us,
that's the fun of it. Yeah. Yeah, that's the fun of it. There's a Native American, I think it's a woman, Native American saying that right now, the time that we're in, that it's like going down a river very fast and other people are in the boat. And if you try to hold on to the side, you're going to drown. And so you just hold on to the side and hold on to each other, and you're going down that river. You know, it's like, yeah, the movement of energies and the movement of change. One thing I'm getting from this card, I do collective readings now on YouTube, and this card comes up a lot, and it comes up reversed. And it's almost like, if you can see this card, there's almost like a church or an institution with an eye in it, in the door.
move it a little bit more over here. No,
Yeah, there's like a picture of like almost like a church or an eye
1, 2, 3,
in
4.
that door. And what that's speaking to me is people are becoming more individualistic, not as a response or reaction, but authentically individualistic, and not, They're respecting institutions. They're respecting what we would consider the hierophant of the world, like religions and doctrines and governments. They're respecting it, but they're not giving their totality of selfhood to it. And so a lot of people quit their jobs during the COVID, and they're some of them are thriving because they're doing their passion in their own way. They're taking care of their health, in their own way, and they're thriving. They're not giving their power away, essentially, which can keep one in poverty thinking.
And that goes with the self-worth. And you think you don't worth, that's what you're going to attract.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a matter of thinking differently and feeling differently about.
Absolutely.
So then you can create that change that it comes out in that card.
Yeah. So back to your question, it's like you can integrate yourself by developing those aspects within yourself of self-worth.
Yes. Do you have another message for the collective?
Let me see. Hey, it's kind of funny. It's like, I'm with you, babe. And you're with me, babe. Yeah. Yeah. It sounds silly, but it's that simple. Feeling attuned and not judgmental and okay with all of it, in our skin, under our skin. Personally, my ego, even all of it, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah, you're not separate from me. And and that brings back that first question about empathic. You can still feel connected and not have to get sucked into it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Understanding that we are all one, we're living just at the same, different experience in different bodies. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love that idea of parallel lives. And yeah.
Because it will be impossible to live the same experience. Oh, that would be very boring. First of all.
Well, we've lived a very limited life until now during the Piscean age. We've lived a very limited life.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of joy and sorrow, but we're expanding in the quantum realm beyond our five senses now.
I agree. You're teaching any class right now, Suzanne?
Not right now. I'm taking care of my leg. I seriously injured my leg. I'm living in my my art gypsy trailer, about 2 acres from my land that I bought here outside of Albuquerque. Trying to commune with the ETs. There's supposed to be a group of ETs. There's a base in the Sandia Mountains. I can see it from here. I'm trying to keep in contact with a woman out here. Her husband and her originally started dreaming about these ETs, working on my doctorate degree, and then also continuing with plans for the homestead I'm developing. And so I'm not really teaching. I'm just now getting back into my practice, my spiritual practice. I developed a YouTube channel called Philosophy of Light, which I'm hoping to turn into a book. And it's taking the idea of light, could be light language, and is a light being, the idea of light and how a human can incorporate those aspects into themselves, but putting it within the framework of a philosophy. So, I'm kind of trying to get back into my practice through YouTube now. And, because I've been out of it as I traveled for a year and a half, I couldn't, clients would call once in a while, but from Pittsburgh, but, I really was working on my own trauma journey. I was working on my own self-development. I was working on in just enjoying the beauty of the earth, and just rewiring myself, resetting myself during the time of COVID.
Well, in a year we'll see you over there. We're moving over there, close by.
Yeah, that's right. You're gonna have to come visit. Yeah, you don't live very far from me. I live outside of Albuquerque.
We actually moving to New Mexico.
Where in New Mexico?
Around where you are.
Around the Albuquerque area.
Yes.
We'll talk about that later. Don't tell me now, publicly, if because I don't want to make you feel like, oh my God, I'm not going to tell the world, But yeah, so I love it here. I really do.
Yes. So it is important to everybody, to the ones that are listening, to connect to Mother Earth.
Thank
Connect.
you.
That is important. And it's like connecting with us, like we said before, with the Hermetic, one of the teachings, like how is here is over there. So we connect to ourselves, we're connecting also to the Mother and to the same universe. And
I
that is,
love it. That's beautiful, Monica. That's beautiful.
yes. Do you have another message that you would like to give?
Well, I can't think of anything. One more message. We are, as a whole, as we ascend, and I don't like that term ascend, like where are you going? You're ascending. Well, we're broadening. We're broadening through the idea of multidimensionality and in living through that. And so we are more than we think we are. And then also, it's almost like that Star Trek saying, what is that Star Trek saying? Like, move on and beyond or something like that. It's like, it's okay. It's all okay. We're voyagers. We're souls. We're all voyagers.
Yes.
Humans too. It's so
Yes, I love that.
yeah.
So if someone wants to contact you, I will add I will put the information of check the information of this video, so like that you can contact Suzanne, to
Thank
everybody.
you.
And thank you for everybody to listen to us. Just wait for me. Don't hang up.
I won't.
So thank you everybody for listening to us, and I really appreciate your presence and your being. And thank you for being here. This is Monica Ramirez, Warrior of Love, and you're in Soul.
forever free.